as a middleweight. He looks there like he's trying to get air.
So through the utter lack of wisdom of the referee, this bout has proceeded into the 7th round.
Well, let me say this, Jim. Herrera has led Andries back in this fight, and it's possible now that Andries can get back into the fight, I think, because Thomas is tired. Another right hand by Hearns. Isaac Herrera has refereed 31 world title fights. Either he's undergoing amnesia or he didn't learn very much in those fights.
Because regardless of whether Andries is now able to right himself and get back into the fight, Herrera took unnecessary chances with his health in the preceding round.
I mean, Andries was in no condition to continue. He's flopping all over the ring. The fact is that with all of the flop downs and the time Andries got to regain himself, while Herrera cleaned his gloves, he went to the canvas, I think, 6 times in that round. Thomas needs to collect himself right now. He's obviously in control of the fight. That might have been a 3-point round. The 6th. I don't think he can lose a decision at this point. He just must be very careful that Andries doesn't get back in the fight and that he doesn't run out of gas.
Well, just as Herrera is open to question, certainly any official who scored that round 10-9 is open to question too. But now Andries is starting to rally a bit and has Hearns against the ropes where he can be most effective.
Absolutely. Thomas is dead tired right now. We will see if he can get a second win. But right now, Dennis Andries, the champion, is the fresher of the 2 fighters. There is no spring in the Hearns legs. There is no snap in his punches. It's possible to regain it, but during that time, if Dennis Andries has the ability right now to jump on Thomas when he's trying to recover himself, he could do some tremendous damage. Body jab by Thomas, enough. And then the right hand, but it deflected off Andries' shoulder. Oh, those body punches by Andries. He scored a left and 2 rights to the body of this round, and they will take away any spring that's left in Thomas Hearns' legs.
And you see the awkwardness, which sometimes makes Andries look so bad, but in other words, makes him, or in other ways, makes him so effective. He's not at all afraid to get hit. We have come to the end of the 7th round. We'll be back. We are back live in Cobo Arena. Round 8 of what has become an odd fight. And champion Dennis Andries, holder of the WBC World Light Heavyweight Championship, may, at least in my estimation, have just won a round for the first time in the fight.
I think he did win the round, and I think he can continue to win rounds if he puts pressure on Thomas. The key punch, I think he should use that right hand to the body. If you remember Thomas's losses to Leonard and to Hagler, in both cases, it was a body punch, I think, that contributed in a large part to Thomas's running out of gas in both fights. It started with the beginning of the end. Andries can really thump with that right hand to Thomas's left side, and he should be trying it more often.
Hearns has always possessed the spectacular torso with the washboard stomach, and often fighters of that description do not take body punches as well as you might suspect they could.
Yeah, I think it's also tall fighters. There's a theory in boxing. If you get very stretched out, you don't take it very well to the body.
We'd like to alert our local stations along the line that at the end of this round, we'll be taking a station break. That right hand missed by Thomas Hearns.
We should report that between the last 2 rounds, Ralph Citro has not even come into the corner, into the ring to work on Thomas Hearns' eye. That eye has been closed.
Actually, it's the cut which has been closed.
What did I say? The eye? Excuse me. Yeah, the cut has been closed.
Quite correct.
Another right hand up high in the head of Andries. Andries has been down coming into this fight only twice in his career. In both cases, it was right hands high on the head. He takes a punch on the chin better than he does up in the temple area.
He went to the canvas 5 times in round 6. 2 of those occasions were not called knockdowns by referee Isaac Herrera.
One clearly was. The other time it was just Andries unable to stand up. The Hearns corner getting very excited about that combination, but at this stage, Thomas doesn't appear to have the power to hurt Andries.
But a good inside right flush to the side of the head.
Put an arm punch, Jim. I mean, with no leverage of his body in it at all.
We'd like to alert our local stations. We'll be back. More of Hearns and Andries right after this word from the stations themselves. Round 9 of the WBC Light Heavyweight World Championship fight between Thomas Hearns of Detroit, Dennis Andries of England. Hearns becoming, or attempting to become, I should say, only the 12th man in the history of boxing to win 3 separate world championships. If you've joined us late, you've already missed an eventful day. A lively crowd in Cobo Arena, a 2-minute 55-second national anthem by the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, and a 6th round in which Dennis Andries, the champion, was on the canvas 5 times. 3 of them ruled knockdowns officially by referee Isaac Herrera, who made a highly questionable decision in allowing the fight to go on. Now Hearns attempts to finish things off.
Dennis Andries made a big mistake in the last round by letting Thomas back into the fight. He had Thomas tired. Good right hand. Andries just... I didn't see why he went down there. He might have slipped off the edge of the ring. Yes, he did. He looked back.
Okay, Tommy, come in.
It's a huge 21-foot ring, but Dennis just used all of it. But Thomas got his second wind a little bit, won the last round, is now back in this fight and has regained control.
Good body punch, one of the few that Hearns has elected to throw since he began scoring at will to the head. Another right hand. Andries is staggered again.
And now it's the Andries legs that look bad.
Right then.
Double left hand. First the jab and then the hook off the jab. The first time Thomas has done it in the fight, and he landed both punches.
The light heavyweight division is not what it was in years past during the reigns of Michael Spinks and Matthew Saad Muhammad and Dwight Cowie.
The light heavyweight division is a disaster area.
And in all likelihood, Hearns is only here for this brief vacation.
Another chopping right hand by Thomas.
Andries bounces back up again. 7th time he's been on the canvas. 5 of them officially knockdowns.
I went to third to come. All right.
And you saw the wild right hand that Thomas does not want to walk into in trying to finish Andries.
That's all right.
Andries has a great chin, but he's also in tremendous condition. The ability to take this much punishment is a factor of conditioning.
Round 9 of 12 scheduled. Andries defenseless against Hearns' right hand. Championship wrestling in Detroit. A disgusted Thomas Hearns goes to his corner. Round 9 in. Is the WBC World Light Heavyweight Champion. And the fact that he holds that title is a statement on the light heavyweight division at this moment. Today, he has been on the canvas 8 times in this fight with Thomas Hearns, and still the fight continues.
Okay, outside, Andries. Outside, Tommy, don't chew, okay.
Before you think that might be a record, you should remember that Manuel Ortiz knocked down Bobby Hager 17 times in his pro debut.
This is not a knockdown.
Give it a hand. No more push, okay?
The second occasion on which Andries has wrestled Hearns to the canvas.
Herrera said, touch hands, no more push.
Offside, remember. Give me a good fight.
Well, in gamblers' parlance, it's been anything but a push. Here we go again.
And again, that's just exhaustion. There's no punch. He's looking for a count.
5, 6, 7.
Herrera is calling that a knockdown. He's stopping the fight.
To continue? Unbelievable. Well, he only had to go down 9 times.
And Thomas Hearns has become the 12th man in boxing history to win a 3rd world title.
And has taken a step toward his unique goal, which is to become the first man ever to win 4. We may have just seen Thomas Hearns' first and last fight ever as a light heavyweight.
He has also made boxing history, Jim, in the fact that he is the only man to have first won a title at welterweight and then jump up to light heavyweight and win that championship. And there's a game, but a thoroughly outclassed Andries Rds, a disappointed ex-champion.
Do you think the fight told us anything at all about Hearns' ability to carry his punching power up to the higher weight class?
It's difficult to say because of Andries as an opponent, but he did show an awful lot of guts, Jim. He hung in there, he got his second win, and he finished the man late in the fight. Unlike most of his fights, there you just see, that was called a knockdown. If you saw a punch, I did not.
There were several fall downs. There were also some brutal knockdowns. There were several of the classic right crosses which have typified Hearns throughout his career, going back to his days as an amateur.
And that is just exhaustion, and Andries Rds just saying in his own way, no mas.
So there it is, once a world champion as a welterweight, once a world champion as a super welterweight, now a world champion as a light heavyweight. We'll be back to talk to Thomas Hearns. Right now, let's go back to New York and visit Frank Gibbons.
We'll be going back out to Kobo in just a few moments, and while they ice in this Andries down, tremendous fight. If you're with us all the way, something like 9 or 10 knockdowns in that fight. We'll be going back out to Jim and Alex in just a few moments.
Announcing that by technical knockout in the 10th round, Thomas Hearns has become the WBC, I should say, light heavyweight champion with this victory over Andries Rds. And right now, Alex Wallow stands by in the ring to talk to the hitman. Alex?
Congratulations, Thomas.
Thank you, Alex.
You said in an interview before the fight that this fight would put you 1 mile from home.
1 mile. That's just like going through road work, going 6 or 7 miles a day. Trying to do that last mile is hard.
That last mile is winning the 4th title. Will you go down immediately and fight again at middleweight?
Well, right now it's about taking my time and just relaxing for a while and get over this fight, because this was a hard fight for me. I just got to relax for a while, probably about 4 or 5 months, and then I come back and fight again.
How comfortable were you carrying that 173 pounds, Thomas?
I felt very strong. I have to admit, this is the way for me. And I think I owe this all to my manager, Emmanuel Stewart, for giving me a great training. Also, for my ace coon, sparring partner that helped me all the way through, was there all the way with me from day one. This is CO, called Clarence Osby. And
Clarence
also,
is the sparring partner that sparred with Thomas. Thomas, let me ask you one question.
I want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
What got me the strength and the endurance that I needed to go through this fight, I'm using knowledge now. Knowledge helped me build myself, got myself strong. It didn't bulk me up, didn't make me bigger, it just made me stronger.
Thomas, were you hurt in that 2nd round?
No, I wasn't hurt. I was hit with a good shot, so I wanted to move off because I know this man was a big man. He was something different from what I was used to boxing or being in there with. He was a lot stronger, so I had to move around and just pace myself. I didn't want to go all the way out. When I hurt Dennis in I think it was 3rd or 4th round, I hurt him. And I went out a little bit more than I should. I should have just took my time and picked a shot. But I went to him. I tried to get him out early because I know he was a strong man.
Do you hope now, Thomas, do you still hope in your heart to get a rematch with the winner of the Leonard Hagler fight?
Oh, I would like that very much. I really want the winner of that fight. I think that fight right there is definitely history for me. I don't care who wins. It can be Ray Leonard, or it can be Marvin Hagler. Come on, baby.
Thomas, you fought both of them. Who do you think